As you know, government today requires people to give us their details, proof of address, normally a rental agreement, a lease or a license, depending on the arrangement they have with the particular landlord that they may be renting or occupying a property in. They have to do it in the GHA, they have to do it in the Department of Education, they have to do it at CSRO, they have to do it almost in every single government department you have any relationship with. On any form you fill in, it's the first line of that form that you fill in, and it's normally most of the form you fill in. By putting this register in place, what we're doing is eliminating all of that and having one source of live information, which is a source that we can trust because it's been verified. And it'll mean that all the interaction that people have with government, you will no longer need to prove where you live in every single government department. So that is the primary use. So it enables us to begin to deliver the e-services we've been talking about by facilitating. It'll recognize who you are, it'll populate the form that you're going to be filling in anyway because it'll know who you are and it'll know your address once you're verified, and it'll give us a real, live, true source of information as to who occupies which property in Gibraltar.
What is required of people in order to register? What documentation do they need to put forward?
They're going to need the LPS invoice, which details the rates, which has a number, unique number for each property in Gibraltar. They will need to have the identification ID card or passport of the people that occupy the property with them, and they just follow the very simple steps on the online form. If they cannot do it online, it's not a problem. They can go to the hub, the eServices hub in Main Street, and the team there will help them and help them through that process of registering.
You say all residents will have a legal requirement to register. What are the consequences if they don't, or don't within the 3-month deadline?
They'll be in breach of the law, and then we'll see what we do about that.
A fine, potentially, or?
Yes, look, I like all of these things, we're at the very early stage of the process. I'm not looking yet at what we do to those that don't. I expect everybody to because they're giving us this information anyway. It's not as if somebody's going to refuse on principle because they have to do it to every single government department they go to anyway. We're not asking any intrusive questions. It's simply, are you occupying, on what basis are you occupying? So if somebody's renting, they'll have to upload a copy of the rental agreement. Owners don't have to do that because we already know who the owners are, because Land Property Services have a register of title of all of the owners of every property in Gibraltar. In terms of public housing, the housing department will verify that the people are in the right property. So this is a process of making it easier for people. I'm not even beginning to think of enforcement at this stage.
What would you say to the argument that this is putting the onus on people to provide that information again and jump through another hoop, instead of on the government itself to collate the information it already has?
I think that's a load of nonsense. We're asking them to do it once instead of 10 times.
You say this will allow people to access e-services more easily, but e-services still have some way to go to be fully functional and accessible in themselves.
Look, I think eServices is like a big jigsaw with many, many pieces. The Register of Property Occupation is a critical part of that jigsaw because it's going to enable us to verify people are who they say they are. As you know, in Gibraltar, we have very generous benefits for residents. Part of this process and part of eServices is going to be to enable us to have joined up thinking, where if somebody's resident status ceases or terminates for whatever reason, the GHA, the Department of Education, the tax office will all have an immediate notification in one go that that person ceases to be resident. That's got to be good for Gibraltar, that's got to be good for the process, and that's got to be good to enable us to give the benefits to those that are resident here and not some that say they are but actually aren't. So this is all part of that work that's ongoing. eServices will help us to deliver that far quicker, far clearer, and have much more live and accurate information than we have in the past.